Just need to make sure. Just need to make sure. We are live. Hello. Sorry.
Gabby Jacobs became a member. Swish Buckets became a member. Gustavo Visconti became a member.
Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to the morning routine number 46. If you're new around here, I'm Terry Berenson, and I make some cycling videos. Also been live streaming a little bit during this whole thing the world has been going through, and having guests on. And today I'm very proud and excited to announce we have special guest, Lucas Brunelle. We got him lined up. I'm about to pop him in here real quick, and I will show his face to you. Those of you who have been here for a while, you know I've been working on these special graphics and transitions, and they seem to be failing me again, but that's okay. Never fear. We're going to fix this. So let me get Lucas on full screen real quick, and then we will start this off. Boom, just like that. Give me a second. We got 1, 2, and 3. I think it worked. Oh, it didn't work. We didn't get no transition. That's okay. Well, here we are. We got Lucas on the other line here. Lucas and I, let me just say, I was inspired by Lucas back in the day without even knowing. He was the OG guy with the camera on his helmet. And Lucas, the first time or the last time we were hanging out, we were trying to film. We were at Brent from Bicycle Film Festival's house, and then we were trying to film and go right around, and then it just started pouring rain, and it didn't really happen. So next time we meet up, we're gonna have to ride. But Lucas, why don't you tell everyone who's not familiar with you, which I'm sure everyone is, about yourself a little bit.
All right, so I'm Lucas Brunelle, and I've been riding and racing for over 30 years. I actually started off BMX, and I've been to, 100 plus cities and over 70 countries. And I love to ride bikes, I love speed, I love to make films.
So would you say you like to ride your bike in other countries?
I've done more of that than I have stateside.
That's amazing. That's awesome. There's no better way. I always tell people that traveling with a bike is like a must. If I'm going anywhere, bike is part of the package for sure. At least bringing one with me or trying to find one before I get there. That way I have the best experience when I'm traveling. It's just no better way than to travel by bike.
Well, we petitioned American Airlines some time ago, and we had toiled with this for years. And maybe I'm biased because I'm based in Miami, so I love America. But to not charge for bikes, and
Yeah.
certainly our efforts paid off because they don't charge for bikes anymore. And I like to think that we had something to do with that. That's the power of a community and of knowing a lot of people and of groups.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that since I've started. I used to pick my way through the airlines that I would choose. JetBlue, once I moved to New York, they were pretty good about flying with a bike. As soon as I took the bike from the box and actually invested in a bike bag, they seemed to stop charging me, on JetBlue anyways. And then I found American Airlines, and then everyone just kind of fell into place. So it's been good. But too bad we're not traveling much right now. We'll get to that. But I do want to start with just the basics, just to familiarize people who aren't familiar with you on the channel right now. So you got into cycling through BMX as a kid, and then how did you get into start filming and filmmaking? When did that come about?
That is kind of interesting. Of all places, it was critical mass back in 2001. My friend had a shoulder camera, and this guy John McLean, and he showed me the footage from it. And I had messengered before, and I had ridden some races and done some alley cats, and it's funny because that evening, immediately I said to myself, wow, I want to show the world what it's like to film, what it's like to ride through traffic the way that we do. Because I cannot describe this to anybody. I cannot describe it. It's like trying to describe to somebody who's never been to the ocean what it's like to touch a wave.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to figure out, because we all know the famous photo of you, which is on all of your favicons and your little icons and avatars and all that, favicons, avatars, the photo of you with the two cameras front and back, like the classic like line of sight like cameras before there were GoPros. How long did it take you to start figuring out like where to put the camera, and if you needed one or two, what you wanted one in the back? Like, were you experimenting with that for a while?
Yeah, we were. The angle. See, all of my life I had always raced, and so the most difficult part was going into a race, whether it's an alley cat or a sanctioned race, and taking the line or the position that is best for the camera versus competition. So that was a transition that I made because I won dozens of races, sanctioned races. I've won over 100 sanctioned races, and I used to win alley cats, and I had a lot of fun with that. But for me, the bigger victory is to make a great film about it. And so probably that was the biggest adjustment. But in terms of the technical adjustments, in terms of the cameras, it was interesting because we used Tupperware, we used metal brackets, we drilled, we used epoxy, we used everything possible. And, there are these big Super 8 cameras, these big tapes that you'd insert, inject, and you'd have to use a, old school editor on that. But the fact is that did come pretty quick as far as the angles did, even though the technical did not. And then, we said, well, why don't we do two cameras? And this is all before YouTube. This is way before YouTube.
Yeah.
Or any of the social media. And it's funny because I had a website back then, and I was streaming the videos on that site, and it was crashing out the server. And what happened was, because so many people were watching, so I had to upgrade the plan. But it was quite something back in the day doing this. It was a lot of weight as well. And the batteries were very heavy too, so it was quite something. But I'm never afraid to be upfront to explore a new frontier.
For sure, for sure. So I guess this is going to lead. I do have some questions. I took some questions from some viewers yesterday. This leads me into another question. So do you miss the old camera setup that you had compared to now? Obviously, you moved on. Like, camera technology has improved and things have gotten smaller. The quality's gotten better. Stabilization is a huge thing now. Do you miss those old cameras versus the GoPro setups? Was there anything you miss about that setup? Besides the pain in the neck?
Well, maybe, as far as the cameras, it's a good question. I've never been asked that if I miss those big units. I mean, it was a lot of fun to ride around with them, but it is a lot easier. I miss those days. I miss the way that the community was. I mean, there is a video. I mean, this is a bit of a digression, but there's a video that I'm going to post fairly soon, and the old alley cats in Boston, where they used to race down the alleys, the literal alleys.
Yeah.
There were hundreds of messengers on the fire escapes and on rooftops and on the sidewalks watching these alley cats, and there were a lot of other people. So I miss those days. But in terms of that, that equipment, I don't really, because look, I can come home and take a SD card out that's 512 gigs, throw it onto the computer, and give it to you, give it to Instagram, to whoever, to the world. It's so much easier. We are light years ahead of it, So, but every time I say light years ahead, I think of the crowds that used to be there when we'd come into a new town or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and how many more messengers there were at events. But anyways, those units. The one thing I guess I do miss about them is the look. Is nothing looks like the footage from a lens that big and from film and from tape and from that technology.
Yeah. No, I agree. Have you tried to go back and pick up some of those old cameras just for fun and see how you would capture something differently with them, or you're just over trying to transcode from tape to digital?
Well, I mean, I'm not. I don't think there's anything other than that look that I mentioned to you, of that big lens, the beautiful look, that would really be an advantage. However, I am going to do a ride where I take those cameras. I don't know when it's going to be. Maybe it'll be a celebratory ride, a tribute to when this whole C-19 thing passes and we go on a big group ride. I don't know. A ride where I'll sport the old helmet with the two big cameras. I mean, I still have all that equipment. I didn't get rid of it.
Yeah. I guess one thing about that, the equipment that I know, I mean, I wasn't riding around with those cameras on my head, but I did start experimenting with a Canon 5D Mark III, and I would put it on full face helmets, and I was trying to get POV from my chin and doing counterbalances on the back of my helmet, and the gear got so heavy when I was riding. I was like, I can't even ride my bike. I can't even walk down the street. This is dangerous. I can't see. I'm tunnel vision. And the thing that I think is an advantage, other than the weight and the size and the convenience of it being digital, is the price. Everything is so much affordable to get your hands on. It's I try to share this with everyone who's watching YouTube videos. They're like, oh, how do you do this? Or I want to film my rides. And I'm like, just pick up a GoPro and start experimenting, right? Go make some films. And I'm always trying to encourage people to go film as well. And I feel like it's much easier to do that now than it was back then, because people might not know you had to record on tape, and then you had to take that tape footage, play it back. It had to play back in real time. And then your computer had to record it. And then you had to clean it up and edit it and put edit lines in it, because it would just be one long clip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'm going through that footage now. It's so funny that you talked to me yesterday and I said, yeah, Terry, by the way, I'm posting a video, and it is from 2004, Monster Track 5. And there's a bunch more of that footage I'm going to be posting pretty soon, because I'm going through those discs right now. Those
Yeah.
old these big RAID 5 drive arrays that I have all the stuff on. And they weigh a ton, and I'm plugging them into a USB of this, computer with Windows 10 on it, and
Hoping that it can read it.
so, I'm
Yeah.
doing that.
I,
Yeah,
s-
but
I saw that video last night. I caught up on it and I watched it. And man, it's so raw to see how Monster Track was raced. At least that was Monster Track 5. At least that one, because it seemed like you guys were salmoning up a lot of the avenues, like up one ways the wrong way, more often than than other times. And there's a real. I mean, I put the little timestamp I commented last night. I was like, yo, the shot of the horse. Like there was over on the west side where the horse carriages go to like park or whatever. There was a horse carriage coming from Central Park, basically down to go to storage or whatever, and you guys are racing up the runway one way, or it might have been 10th or something, the wrong way, and then you turn your head, like you're filming Squid, I believe you're behind Squid, and then the horse carriage is coming up, and you like turn your head and like lock with the horse's face as you ride by. It's so good. I started laughing because I just feel like that's something, I would do too. I'd be like, oh, look at this horse. Oh. As you're riding by, kind of like you checked out the horse and then you kept going. It was really good.
well, yeah, and that's an example. When you've been doing something like this, especially for this long, when I go out on a ride, the ride takes on a much bigger significance to me because you guys are viewers. This ride is going to be seen by people all over the world because
Yeah.
I'm always rolling cameras. And, it's funny, maybe there's a street fight. And so I'd like to get involved, but I want the angle.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and sometimes that gets you involved because somebody doesn't want, and so that makes for good film as well. What the hell,
Yeah. Or like when a Lamborghini or exotic car catches fire.
Yeah, yeah,
And you just parked your bike next to it. That's pretty good.
yeah, and so that's how the world is, and I mean, the police, it's kind of like, well, I'm breaking the law here, I'm doing some funny stuff, and getting funky, and well, if I get away with it, I win. But guess
Yeah.
what, officer? You pull me over, I win as well.
Oh yeah, because you get the good footage. That leads us to a really good question. Someone wanted to know how many, like, have you gotten to any legal issues while riding your bike and filming, like arrested, basically anything past a ticket? I mean, I know. Talk about the whole thing.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, in Hong Kong, I did that Harbor Tunnel ride, and the Harbor Tunnel connects Hong Kong to Kowloon. So, and of course, it was because they challenged me locally. They said nobody's ever ridden their bicycle through the Harbor Tunnel.
You shouldn't have said that.
So I go down there and I do my usual, take the center line. It goes super fast. And there are no less than half a dozen police waiting for me when I get to Kowloon.
They're just waiting for you to roll up. Is it like
Yeah.
a standard tunnel where you have to go down? Does it go underwater? It's like a dip.
Yeah.
So you're like climbing out of the tunnel at the end, and then they're
Yeah.
just standing there waiting. And you're like, dude.
Yeah, they are. And, I said, oh, hello. And they said, you're not supposed to ride. This is pretty serious, actually. And I said, oh, well, the GPS said, So
Yeah.
anyway. And so they actually were very interested in the footage, too. Some of them thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, they let me go with a warning, and I didn't think much of it. And then I was leaving the airport 3 days later to go to I think it was Fiji from Hong Kong, and so these guys, one of the guy that was doing my ticket saw something on my record, and then another guy comes out and he introduces himself and he asks me to step over the luggage belt where you check your luggage in,
Yeah.
and then go to a back office. And I thought, oh, it's something weird looking in my luggage because, that's how bicycles are.
Yeah.
Whatever. And so he says, I understand you had an incident with the police, running through the tunnel. And I think that they made it clear to you that they could mandate that you appear in court, and this and that. And so he starts going over this with me. And my flight, I'm already, cutting it thin, is going to leave pretty soon. So, I'm looking out the window and he's looking at me and he said, "Oh yeah, I noticed. Your flight. You have a flight." And he says it with kind of a smile. And he keeps talking to me about the consequences of this. And he just starts to think it's the funniest thing to keep holding me in his office.
Oh my God.
I'm looking out the window at the flight, and he just thinks it's hilarious.
I hate airplane people, airport people who do that. I've ran into someone similar. Did they let you go? Did you make your flight?
I made it, but it was kind of funny because I had to show the security my flight time, and they said, "Oh yeah, cut the line, come right through." I mean, that's how long this guy kept me, and he thought it was the funniest thing. Yeah, we can have you, have to appear 2 days from now, in court and this and that. And so, oh, please don't, I won't do this again, So, but knock on wood, I haven't been arrested yet. So, I mean, some of the people that I hang out with, God only knows, I might live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah.
So,
let me do a little technical thing real quick. Hopefully, whatever. Now it works. The graphic works now. There we go. That's better. Now we got your name on there. I had the wrong thing up. All right. That leads us to a good question too. So what are your favorite towns or cities to ride in? Since you've been riding all over the world, what are your top 3?
Mexico City.
Ooh, number 1?
I don't like to, but that city is infinite for exploration and for surprises.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you've got a city that's awesome, Chicago, it's, like a 3-week city where you can spend that much time exploring new things and whatnot, and maybe someplace like Beijing is 2 weeks, and, Shenzhen, these cool places. But, I like to put timelines on cities of how long it takes to explore, kind of exhaust everything. But Mexico, that place, there's just path. I mean, those of you that are watching this, please ride Mexico. Go to Mexico City and ride. I mean, you're going to push your limits. You're going to go a lot harder than you ever imagined that you would. You're going to have people encouraging you to skitch on their cars, and you're going to have single track that leads into a highway, and highway that leads into an abandoned road with a factory that's abandoned, with dogs that are going to chase you. I mean, so Mexico City is unbelievable. And then, of course, there's cities. El Salvador is amazing. I mean, that's old world, what's not to like about a country that you land in and the airport looks like something from the 80s, where that's the only lights in the middle of a woods for many miles. And then there's no street lights, and you go to downtown San Salvador, El Salvador, and you ride, El Salvador is pretty crazy. So there's that. That's talking about Central America and about Mexico, but Bogota, that place is amazing. So not as dicey as it used to be, but boy, they do have some roads there, and they got some really fun descents.
Yeah.
So there's Bogota, but I like places for different things, Chernobyl. I mean, you ride in Chernobyl because you want to have, that's a city, you want to have the roads, the ultimate experience of we didn't see anybody there. We were there for 2 weeks. We didn't see anybody for that entire time. Actually, until the last day we left, we saw other stalkers and the gatekeeper to this. It's a film we're producing. It's going to be done. But you've got roads that are from the 80s, and they're really smooth, except for trees and some root pry.
Yeah.
But got buildings that are right out of the 80s, and it's very cool. So there's Chernobyl, and then boy, in terms of cities, I mean, I will say this, I mean, New York, there's no place you can ride the green wave like New York, going down all these different avenues and catching the greens.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no place where you've got. It's like New York City's made for alley cats, honestly.
True.
So,
Yeah.
so much fun. Yeah. So those are my top.
I agree with you with Mexico City. Mexico City is an interesting one for me because when I first showed up there, this is before I met up with Safa or Anna. I was with my friend Eric Otto, and they wanted to ride to the Pyramid of the Sun. I destroy the
Document.
Yes, exactly. So
Teotihuacan.
exactly, yeah, I'm gonna destroy the pronunciation, but we wanted to do a ride there. So it was like a 35-mile ride there. So it's 70 miles round trip or so from where we were staying. So we did the ride, and no one had ridden there yet, and so I just used Google Maps, right? So Google Maps took me on all these back roads, like how you would do it by bike, because I had it on bike mode. So I rode there, and then on the way back, actually almost towards the end of the ride there, we had a local guy with us who was like a little bit not riding as much. He's a little out of shape, and he was just like, "What are we doing? We're riding on all these roads. These are kind of sketchy. Like, we shouldn't be over here. We should be over here on these roads." So what I'm saying is he took over and routed us, and basically he routed us onto the freeways and the highways. And he was like, "This is how you ride. You put in Google Maps as you're a car. You ride on the freeways in Mexico City." And it was the first place I went where they were like, "You ride on the freeways." And later, I told people this story, and then I put a video on YouTube, and all these people were like, "You rode through the sketchiest parts of Mexico City. I'm surprised you made it out alive." And I was like, I think they're just maybe playing it up a little bit, but for real, Mexico City is like, you ride on the freeways. It's crazy. You ride on the freeways. In the highways.
Yeah, and it's funny because, we have a challenge, to see if we can get pulled over by the police. And we've done this in different cities.
It doesn't happen.
And then what happens is the last person that gets pulled over, we have a ticket challenge too to see who can get a ticket. And the last person who gets a ticket has to pay the other tickets.
Oh, shit.
So, and we're trying to do this in Mexico. And that has to be one of the toughest, if not the toughest place in the world to get the attention of the police.
On a bike, for sure.
So, Pancho and Alex said, "Hey, I think it was, it was Pancho's idea, of course." Pancho says, "Let's go on the elevated highway and let's ride really fast the wrong way."
Oh, fuck.
And so we did that, and then a record, and this is this footage is in Road Sage. So a wrecker, a flatbed tow truck, actually started chasing us. And
what?
Then, yeah, it's in Road Sage. You'll see it. I'll probably do the extended version. It's pretty funny, but they chased us, and then they got Natan, and then slash Alex, and then Pancho and I went back, and then the police came up. And then, the police were kind of laughing about it, and too. So, but the ticket challenge. Oh man, that's so much fun.
I love that. That's a really good. That's a YouTube concept for a video right there. The ticket challenge. I could just see someone like the introduction, like, "Hey, I'm Lucas, and today we're gonna do the ticket challenge." And then you explain the rules, and then you go out and give everyone a camera and like really raise hell and see what happens.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's not as easy as you think.
I accept that challenge. Next time we ride when we're allowed.
Even if not.
I have some more questions. There's people in the chat talking about, yo, Bicycle Film Festival. Brent Barber's in the chat. Everybody say hello to Bicycle Film Festival. Some people in the chat are asking about New York riding. So this is a question that I got yesterday. I guess, how do you compare Florida riding to New York riding?
Okay. So it's different, quite a bit different, because I mean, the Florida riding is faster because it's all flat and the streets are a lot more open. So and you have the wind there is much more of a factor too than it is in New York. I mean, you have those Florida winds, and the prevailing wind is off the Atlantic, and when that northeast wind comes in, you are flying. So it is different. It is a place that I will say this. Um, I've had, I can count, in the years that I've ridden there, the amount of incidents I've had with drivers on one hand. It is so minimal. And I've done some stupid shit. I've done some rookies, moves there as well, as everybody does.
Yeah.
When you're preoccupied, or when, you're doing something with one of your friends, and you cut off a car. But drivers there are so cool. So I think that's one way that it can be different.
Yeah.
But I mean, New York is more technical. It does involve a lot more of your street skills to be able to thread the needle through traffic, and sometimes damn slow traffic where the speed differential is dangerously high.
Yeah.
Between cars and you. So you do have that.
I don't think people actually realize that. That's definitely something that is to be considered when riding, is the speed at which it's much safer if you're riding at a similar speed to traffic. If traffic is slow and you're trying to go fast, it's sketchy as hell. And it's just the same as the opposite, is if traffic's fast and you can't ride very fast, it can get sketchy as well. You want to be at a similar kind of pace or flow. In New York, there's only a few places where cars can go like way faster than you on a bike. And that's why I like New York. Most of the streets, at least in the city, in Manhattan, you can get away with riding in the streets with traffic for the most part. And you're with traffic, the flow of traffic, sometimes a little faster. But when it gets gridlocked and stopped like that, you're right. It's very, very sketchy. Holes tighten up.
Yeah, it is. And it really involves you trying to think ahead, and see the next move, way ahead. And so that's something that over years, you don't even realize it. You start to master that, and you see what's going to happen before it happens. And then there's something else where, and this is kind of fuzzy logic, where you can increase your speed so fast to the point where you're going so much faster than everything around you that what you're doing is you're minimizing the chance for something bad to happen, because your window of exposure is that much smaller. So that's a higher stakes game that you play when you do that. But high speed does lessen the odds, for incidents.
You're in and out.
Yeah,
like a ninja.
Yeah, and when do you balance that versus the concept of it taking longer to react because you have that velocity and cannot avoid something because you were going too fast? And the person that can judge that is someone who has been riding on these streets for a very long time and has avoided thousands. It's like a Chris Thorman or someone like that who has just avoided thousands of acts, or Brent Barber, and so many incidents, thousands and thousands they've avoided. And so how do you learn? There's only one way to learn that. It's not indoors training, on looking at a monitor, sorry,
get on that Zwift, baby.
Yeah. So yeah, and another thing, if you're riding really fast in traffic, you want to. I usually give the benefit of the doubt. I usually prefer the wider hole shot as opposed to the more efficient line. And so maybe I have to go a bit out of my way. But if I'm going at 30 miles an hour and I'm going through stuff that's, I'm standing still, I'm going to take a wide, the line might not be as efficient, but I'm going to be more aware of my surroundings because I'm going to have a lot bigger space around me.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then, what if there's a puddle there? Well, then that trumps everything. I'm not going to hit water.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the narrower space. So there's a hierarchy that, as an experienced rider, as decades of racing and riding through traffic every day, do I ride like that, on the every day? Yes, I do. When I go out every fucking day, I ride like that 24/7. I mean, that's the speed that I ride at, the speed that I live at. And, if you're going to do that, then what's going to happen is you're going to get used to those speeds and to that threshold. And, I'll tell you, I wish I'd known things about moves and about traffic back years ago that I know now. And that's something that, it's a reason why, one of the reasons why I'm making more videos now from my bike while I'm talking, and maybe I'm, chiming in while I'm riding about advice about why I made a certain move or something like that, is because of the fact that I want my videos. I mean, you go on YouTube channels and, you see a chase or you see an altercation or you see something, you see a race. Okay, so, you get the adrenaline and go on to the next video. My channel, obviously your channel, is a lot more than that. You come on here and one of the things you learn is you learn moves from people that have been doing this for decades, and moves that are going to probably save your life if you're riding in this type of situation regularly.
It's like a playbook, like playback. How the like NFL players or basketball players watch like a game that just played. They'll watch people play. Kind of similar. You can watch how people ride because we're filming other people as well as ourselves. I never thought about it like that. I'm really. Let's talk a little bit about the YouTube stuff. As you've been growing the channel a lot, and I'm stoked to see it. And I'm also really, I mean, this is a new kind of a time for all of this. The whole, I don't know, bringing videos almost. They don't have to be daily, but pretty consistent. A couple times a week. It's exciting, and you ride your bike all the time, and you just said you film every time you ride, so you're collecting these rides, and it's cool to see you be consistent and upload videos, especially when you dig back in the archives like you just did and mix it up with yesterday's video. Where was I going with this? Oh, I like to see when you personally, I love it, like when you sketched on the taxi and you gave him money. Like, I love that shit. I love, like, obviously I know you from, everyone knows you from your riding, but I like to see, I'm always stoked to see the positivity and the like you sharing a moment with people and talking. That stuff is just awesome. So I don't know. I don't even know if that was a question. That was just a what up. But talk about YouTube, I guess, a little bit.
Well, let me tell you about that. That's a statement I'm going to make right now to this whole virtual thing. I mean, it is dangerous because people ride and they ride indoors, and people think. I mean, right? Look, Terry. Right now, I wish I was there in Brooklyn. I walk in. I mean, and honestly, I wouldn't give a toss about this virus, but I have people that I'm responsible to, my family and some friends who might not react to this virus the same way that I think that you or I would if we became positive.
Exactly.
And
I
so
live with my girlfriend, so I have the same kind of I got to respect other people's boundaries for sure. Safety.
But the thing about this is, when you so a lot of people, seriously, they think that the monitor, that the LCD is the reality. But if I'm stationary, if I'm riding indoors, what is that to my audience? Am I going to, and what is it to me? And what is it? I guess maybe equally as important is if I'm not out there, I'm not riding, then I didn't get to interact with that taxi driver, and I didn't get to inspire other people to ride that I meet, or to ride more, or to take chances, or do other things, that I meet, that there are other dimensions to riding, and that there are things that people might not know, knowledge that I can impart to them when I'm riding. If you're on Zwift, you have zero, you don't have any of that really. So I'm out there, and I'm going to tell you guys something else very interesting about this that I realized years ago. It was a big surprise to me. I was taking karate Shorin-ryu, and I was in a class, and this exercise came up where they took this black belt and they wrapped it around two people, and then it's wrapped around your waist around these two people, and then you try. I think they tied two black belts together to make it wider. Anyways, with your moves of your waist, you try to unbalance the other person out of the circle in the middle of. So I'm not near the training, in martial arts that these people did. I mean, it was unbelievable, some of the stuff that these people could do. But against black belts, against the entire class, I won that challenge. And it's not because I'm practicing martial arts.
It's from foot down.
Pretty much. I mean, it's a way of life on the bike. So you pick up skills on the bike that you have no idea, people, okay, that you're picking up. No idea. And you don't realize the balance and the fact that you're going to see accidents before they happen. And okay, so I'm older now. My reaction time is slower. Does that stop me from avoiding accidents? No, I still avoid them. Why? Because what I see before it's going to happen far outweighs quicker reaction time, as well as good judgment. But
also keeping that tool sharp. You keep practicing it.
Oh yeah. So, but the point is that from riding, there are other things, that I've learned that I had no idea about. Some things that are just are hidden. It's something that is, it is missed if you're indoors, unfortunately. And so you should be outdoors.
Definitely. I attribute all of my visual, I don't even know what to call it, like creative visual, filmmaking and photography, all to cycling and skateboarding and just being outside and being in motion and interacting. I feel that there's a huge connection between absorbing information on a bike at a certain speed and seeing things and reacting, and also reaction time. All those things I think they kind of sharpen your visual communication skills in a way, and that's why I think there's a lot of cyclists who are photographers or architects or work in video or do visual communications. I think there's a correlation there, and I always tell people that's what I believe. So I'm definitely on. There's nothing you get out of a trainer. There's nothing. I mean, other than like putting down power, maybe. That's about it.
Right.
And I'm not knocking the people who do it, especially right now, but like it's not a replacement. It's not a replacement, people. You got to be outside on your bike.
Well, it's funny because, people, so my Garmin, when I boot up my Garmin, the first priority with my Garmin is the map.
Yeah.
So the map is always displayed on there. And then the second priority is my speed. And it's, and if I'm racing, it's the same thing, but the fact is people say, well, how can you say, because, aren't you concerned about watts? Aren't you concerned about power? Aren't you concerned about this certain cadence or about this heart rate, about FTP? And it's unbelievable how much, people overthink things. If your priority is speed, that's a very difficult threshold. You're playing chess instead of checkers if you say that your priority is speed. Because what that means is that you're going to take chances in a peloton that you would not, that others would not, and you're going to go for hole shots that people would not, if that's your priority, and you're going to win.
They're going to play you. They're going to play you mentally.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that are a lot more powerful than you are, but you can beat them if your priority is speed. If you realize that for a fraction of the energy, you can go make up so much distance going downhill on a climb that these guys just blew themselves, redlined up the whole climb, and then you're passing them going down the hill, and you're passing a whole pack.
Yeah.
And going into territory of speeds that those guys just are not willing to do, or that doesn't occur to them. I don't know, but and this applies to every rank and file of racer, I guess, except for some of the pro riders I've ridden with.
Let's talk a little bit about your past racing history and your old coach.
Sure.
I think people would want to know about that.
Yeah.
How are you so fast? How do you know? What's going on? You used to race bikes?
Yeah. I'm still a Category 2 racer. I still active. I don't do that many a year. Maybe 3 or 4, because I just don't like going round and round the same track. A closed circuit.
Yeah.
But I'm racing against people that are half my age. I'm doing well, and my coach was Chris Carmichael, and Chris Carmichael, the guy that coached Lance Armstrong, a whole bunch of other people. This was out at the Olympic Training Center. We went out there for one winter, and we were coached by him, for 12 hours, sometimes 14 hours a day, sometimes in the blizzards and snow and climbing Pikes Peak with iced roads, whatever, who cares? Mind over matter. If you don't mind, If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. So, that certainly taught me to be fast. Physically, is good at having a coach like Chris Carmichael. I've had some other great coaches as well, and it's interesting because, he also taught me. He was also a big influence to be wild, and here's what I mean by that. I did this big jump with my mountain bike. It was a fat chance, and this jump was so large that I landed the wrong way. I should have landed with more finesse. Anyways, I broke the crank, and so I didn't have the mountain bike available.
Did they say send it?
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. I want to ride mountain bikes with you. All right, keep going. Sorry, I got excited when you said that. You hit a big jump.
Totally. And everybody around saw the height I did and said, "Wow, that was really cool." But they didn't actually realize that I'd broken the bike. So we come back to the Olympic Training Center, and I have this broken mountain bike, and they said, "Well, now we're going to climb." I forgot what the heck mountain it was. It's in Colorado Springs. Anyways, I didn't have a bike, so I used my road bike, and so I climbed, and all these other people have mountain bikes. And so I was the first one to the top of the mountain against people who are, more powerful, train more than I do.
Yeah.
Strong riders. And it was because of those thin tires.
Yep.
And so Chris Carmichael saunters into the dining room, the cafeteria, and he sits down really fast at my table, and he says, "Man, I heard about you in that mountain bike," and I thought, "Oh man, that's not good. I broke the bike, and he's gonna be cool."
He wants that money.
Oh, here it comes, and then he says, "Oh, and congratulations on your win on the road bike on the dirt." And he said, "Oh man, you got a wild hair up your ass." And he just laughed, and then he left the table, and everybody's looking at me, like, holy shit, did he just say that? That's the coolest coach ever.
Yeah. That's awesome. That was hours and years and months before there was gravel bikes.
Gravel bikes, yeah.
Yeah, you can do it on a road bike, people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can, and I do. I mean, to this day, I take my road bike to places people don't go. Yeah, and to this day, he remembers me, when I was there. I mean, I'm the one that did so much stuff. I almost got thrown out, of the Olympic Training Center.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Give us a story. Give us a throwout story. Were you a party animal, or were you just, You were just being a bad boy.
So it was two things that caused it. There was so some of the women there from Team USA.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So some extra proactive that I was rather proactive about that we did, and then there was also the this guy John Verheul, who I kind of got into a nasty fight with over some pranks that we were doing in the dorm room because we're bored. We have a
Yeah.
rest day at the Olympic Training Center, with a bunch of dudes that up on adrenaline.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Fuck with somebody.
Another guy took a goddamn. I'll never forget this. Took this. We called him Fritz the cat after he took this goddamn cat, and he screams incoming, and he has the cat on a parachute
What?
going off the balcony. Yeah, I was like, and he loved that cat, but he put the cat on a parachute, and the cat's life.
People would be very upset if they saw that nowadays.
Things that we used to do those days. I mean, those days were something, So,
Yeah.
I mean, even that ride that we did, that monster track, we, we're going down the highway, $120, listening to the CB radio, breaker 19, or are there any police over your shoulder? We're at mile marker 50, that was how it was. Well, yeah, Chris Parma, that was a big influence, was him. Another one was Stephen Hogg, he's a bike fitter in Australia, and he gives this fitting. It lasts for 5 hours on how to fit your bike. Things that you can do to have better balance on your bike. The guy is amazing. It gets into a lot of things that other fitters never would. So I mean, I've had the brightest and the best, and so yeah, I mean, I am fast. I love it, and I like to feel like I'm not wasting that as well, because I mean, I'm still racing category 2 not in the Masters either. Thank you very much.
That's great. I have some other. Let me see. There's a related one. So obviously, cycling is huge in your life, and a huge sport. What other? Is there another sport that you promote that you enjoy doing, or activity that you like to do?
I mean, I like to swim, but that's more for recovery. That's more for exploring, like the very cool stuff when you dive and you see new things, and
What's your thought?
obviously-
What's your thought
Sorry?
process on the swimming after a ride? It's how is it good for recovery? Did you learn that from Carmichael?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah. Yeah. When you go to Olympic Training Center, you learn all about stuff like this.
So swimming helps the muscles recover.
Yeah, if you swim, then it's going to help circulation. It's going to help blood, to basically go to the muscles, and it's going to shorten recovery time. Now, long term, that's going to lessen your tolerance for strengthening muscle, for improvement in strengthening your muscles. And so, long term, if you're doing recovery, very good recovery, you're actually not going to get as strong because the body's not going to adapt to
Stress.
the stress of recovering from that workload by itself, and being more self-sufficient versus getting massage and doing cold water and things like that. I mean, obviously you want to do that extensively if you're in a stage race for money, or something like that. But again, I mean, the swim thing for me is just, there was a comment actually on YouTube, what are you, amphibious? You like to end every ride with a swim. And
Or start. Sometimes you like to start a ride with a swim, like the recent one in Massachusetts.
Right. Yeah. So mid ride, but yes, in that case. But yeah, I mean, it's excellent. It's exploration, and it's kind of like the dessert. Because it's super refreshing, and one of the things mentally too is it's good to have something when you're riding. By the way, it is very good to have something to look forward to, and also to make the rides different. When I go on a ride, I post a fraction of my rides to Strava. Okay, I post very few. Strava for me, I do this for you guys. Strava is theatrical. Okay, and so for me, what that means is I'm going to post cool photos, interesting routes. I'm not going to post something up there, like uh, morning jerk off, evening jerk off the next day, jerking off, I'm not going to post, I'm not going to post, like a routine. I'm going to post something that's really cool, and so, but if you look at my, I ride pretty much every day and sometimes multiple times, if you look at, Garmin records, you see that I ride every day, different routes too. I want to emphasize that is you do different things in your rides and you ride different routes, I guess here's another, pro tip. If you're riding the same route every day and you're not forcing yourself to ride a different route, what does that say about how you think about a business problem or about how you think about other issues, in your life? Are you going to are you going to fall back on the same things that you use to solve problems that might not work as well as a different way?
Yeah.
So riding really, with the amount that we ride, yeah, you said it, bikes are all, that's what we're all about. It is. We live and breathe them, and if you're doing this, your habits and how you ride is going to affect how you take risks in business and how you interact with, family, with your friends, with everything, and how you problem solve. Sometimes I force myself to take another route besides the Venetian or the MacArthur to go from Miami Beach over to downtown.
Yeah.
Even though it's not convenient, whatever. If I find myself doing the same route more than a couple times a week, I change it.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I think I totally agree with you, and I do it in a different way, because I like all different forms of cycling. So inherently, by riding different bikes, I have a track bike with a little bit of a larger gearing. I have and then I have my gravel bike, and then I ride my mountain bike. And these, by changing the bikes up like that and riding around, it inherently makes me ride different routes. So I believe we're on the same page. I just use a different kind of bike to do that different kind of riding. And for me, similar to how you're saying, riding different routes, like riding different bikes and different routes, it makes you stronger on all the bikes. You ride a BMX one day or for a few hours, then you go ride, your road bike and like ride super hard, and then go ride your mountain bike. You're working different parts of your body. You're working on different kinds of balance. You're working on different kinds of awareness. I'm always pushing awareness, especially riding in New York, being aware when things are going to happen way in front of you and you can sense it. Those things are all, they all work on different levels on different bikes, in my opinion. You learn these different skill sets. And so when you ride on the dirt, or even on a different route, and then you get on a single speed in the street, even though they're different and you're not riding on the dirt, I feel like you're still sharpening some skills that are applied to you riding in the streets on a single speed. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know road riders who, they're Cat 1 and they, have all this power, but they get into a situation on the road, with some debris on the road.
And they're like this.
Yeah.
Slam the brakes.
Slam the brakes, yell, warn, whatever. So absolutely.
Yeah. Someone wants to know what's the average mileage you do a year?
So it's about per year 10 to 11,000 miles.
Nice.
That's
almost 250 a week.
Yeah,
right?
But what I want to say about this, it's very important, is about this answer, is that that is very, and the only reason I know that is not because I keep track of it, because I don't keep track of how many miles I do or watts or anything I don't. And, I keep track of how fast I go and, how rad my films are, what I contribute to the community, when I, but anyways, the mileage is going to vary wildly. That is so fragmented. One day I will go 15 miles, because it's in the normal course of business, stuff I got to do. Another day I'll go 85, or 110 miles, and I won't realize that I've even done that much mileage, and that's because, I met up with friends and we did a really cool route or something like that.
Yeah.
So, so I don't have any goals in terms of the miles that I do, but it's how, I do them, because I've had, rides that last for 12 miles that are more epic than a 6-hour ride, where actually I've had rides that go for 12 miles that take 5 hours.
Yeah.
And are more epic than a ride in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when we explore different areas to ride mountain bikes in New York with some friends, we'll ride, 12 miles, and we've been out there all fucking day, and we're like, man, we're never going back there. But it was worth it to check it out. But fuck that place. That place sucked. It's like unrideable, or just, you're like hike a bike so much you're not even riding. That's part of it.
Yeah, and so I'm telling you about routes that about changing your route. So I want to say this to the audience as well, is the fact that you want to vary the type of riding that you do. I mean, I'll tell you what, I see people, they come out to Key Biscayne on these beautiful group rides. The group rides were, up until recently, hundreds of riders coming, and they have their power meter and they're laying down the watts, and they're out there doing their intervals and they're doing their sprints, and they've, met their mileage goals for the week, and they're doing all this, stuff that they're thinking about, and they're going hard. And I look at them, and then the next season they're gone, and they lost interest. Gee, I wonder why,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I mark my words, I've gone harder on a highway where I'm scared, or, confrontation with a driver, or another situation, of a dicey neighborhood. I've gone harder in these situations, or trying to draft, a semi-truck that's very desirable, they're going very fast in a headwind, then I have sanctioned racing. I've had more fun, so you cannot replicate the effort that you put in, and you cannot even realize it till after you've done it, when you're in those situations. Put yourself in those situations. I mean, sometimes it just happens, sometimes I look for it, but what I have to say to you guys is vary your riding, because I mean, it's something that I have friends who are from they range from 14 years old, 15 years old to, people that are, retirement, in their 70s, that I ride with. That's the age range. And then the disciplines are everything under the sun. So, I don't just hang out with roadies. I don't just hang out with with BMX, or, with gravel. So, do that as well. And Bicycle Film Festival, has been an inspiration, because in a lot of ways, but one of the big ways is it's given me, new ideas of new places to ride, new types of people to ride with, so that guy in Mexico, you ride, with, and go up on the highway, that's a new threshold for you. And, I know that things, that I do with Safa when I was there, and with Poncho, were for me, you explore. And so it forces you to do that. And so, I mean, it's something where, I've been riding for, racing, well over 3 decades now, and I've never gotten burned out.
I think it's important to keep it fun. That's my big push with the whole thing. Like, I do this because I love it and I have fun doing it. I see people who have fun racing their bike, and people who really race and train hard and work hard. I respect that. But as soon as you lose the fun of it, if you're not having fun doing the racing, that's when I'm like, I'm not really interested in this, because this is what brought me here, was just, I really, really enjoy it. And once you lose that, I don't know, like crunching down numbers or setting your goals and hitting them all and being like, yeah, I don't know. It's like those, I don't know. That's not why I ride a bike.
Well, no, you go to, I mean, and for what? You go to an office park to, an abandoned office park on the weekend in the suburbs, for, a crit or something like that. And it's like, there's like nobody watching it, so,
Yeah.
um, and, I'll do sanctioned racing once in a while, because it, gives me a good baseline for my fitness, for my speed. It's a check and balance for, how I'm doing in terms of how fast I actually am, but how powerful. But I don't measure it. I don't, overthink it at all. I mean, I know it enough now, and yeah. So it's, I guess it's probably like 1/8, maybe like 5% of what I do in terms of the other riding, the other cool type of racing that I do. So, that is what's most important. But the common theme here is speed. I mean, everything that I do, I do love to do it with a lot of speed. It looks great on the film, and it's a lot of fun, and it's just the best way to see the world.
Yeah. What are your feelings on walking down hills?
Well, I mean, it's not the best speeds. And I know a lot of track, fixed gear riders that have to do it in San Francisco. We've had to do that. They've had to do that. I mean, Chaz did that in the Chutes and Ladders Alley Cat extensively. I think they did that on purpose with the routing to him. But anyways, yeah, I mean, going down to, it's not, climbing is a lot easier on the knees.
Yeah. I hate walking down hills. That's why. I just wish I had wheels at all times. Like, even if I'm going grocery shopping and there's a hill, I'm like, this is so inefficient. I could be bombing this hill right now if I just had some wheels, a bike, some wheels in my shoes.
Oh, heck. Everything's better. I mean, the world is on two wheels.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to it's not a break, but I wanted to share, do a kind of you talking about line of sight. So I was going to share my screen with you. I have line of sight lined up. You see what I did there? And we'll have you just kind of narrate over it, and tell us a little bit about it. The thing is, we're going to pull the volume or the music from line of sight so we can hear you talk, and I'll just play like some chill beats behind you talking. Is that all right? Let's do that. All right, let me see. So give us a second here, guys. I'm going to switch this over to a full screen. Something like that. And then I'm going to share my screen here. Oh, that's not the button. Share my screen with Lucas. And yes, that's what I want to share. And then we're going to go here and we're going to go full screen, everybody. All right, I'm going to turn on some beats. And then Lucas, let's just, I'm going to hit play, and then let's just kind of give us, because this is a film that many people know you from. So it'd be really cool to just hear about how it's, how you got into it, like what the day was like, or, so let's do it.
Absolutely.
Wait.
Yeah, that footage is from Craig. Actually, he did a pedal and okay. So this is the monster truck. All right. Well, what I want to say on the outset of this is that this was actually Bicycle Film Festival. That this is the reason why this film was made, was produced, was because of Bicycle Film Festival.
You made it for Bicycle Film Festival.
Yep.
Awesome.
We knew it was going to go beyond Bicycle Film Festival, but that was it premiered at Bicycle Film Festival on 2nd and 2nd, and it was the lines around for blocks. It was an amazing day, but this is a very iconic alley cat, and Bicycle Film Festival has organized more alley cats than any other organization. So it's there's so many bicycle film, but they've made alley cats all over the doggone world, actually.
Yeah, wherever the film festival is, there's usually a race, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, okay, so this is Alfred, this is a guy that has been doing this for decades, riding like this all the time in traffic, and just like Chris, um, they have had such minimal accidents and problems because of the fact that they're used to doing this.
Alfred's
So,
in the green, and Chris is right there in the black Rafa in the white helmet.
correct.
Who's in the
Yeah.
other jersey? The champion jersey over there, the white.
That's Austin.
Ah, got it. That's right. I missed the title.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is like the all-star team right here, and Austin's not racing, Alfred's not around, and I know Chris is still racing, and he's helping organize Monster Track, so he's very much still in the scene. He's
Yeah.
been around forever, winning races.
Yeah, Chris has been there through it all. I mean, no matter how bad or good the situation has been, he's consistent. That's the thing about Chris.
Yeah,
And we've made some amazing films together. I mean, him and I have done some collaborations, some editing, some production that has really surprised me in a pleasant way. But that's what somebody talented will bring to this.
definitely. So how did you choose to film? You just knew that these guys were going to be in the front. You knew that this was the front, like the winner, the dudes who are going to be like top 5 at least. So you chose to stick with one of them, and I saw that they split off. Like, how did you know to go with Alfred here?
It's intuition on the amount of racing that I've done, and seeing how he's navigating, and how collective he was, and how he was. I could see his method, and I said, well, pick your pony, and this is a good one to stay with.
Yeah.
That's based on experience when you're racing.
Is that how you still pick winners with Monster Track? Do you still follow people who you think are going to win, or now you just come and document the race from a different kind of point of view?
I definitely want to be with the winners, and
Definitely.
that's how I do it. There are races that I may decide not to, but because there's other interesting material. But I mean, I love the racing, I love the speed, I love the chase.
When you first started showing up to sick, a little push off the bus. When you first started showing up to these alley cats and like to go film Monster Track, and how was your, how do I say it right? Did people already know who you were, or when you first started showing up, were they like, "Who's this guy with the cameras on his helmet?" Like, or were you already known in the scene and they were like, "Oh, it's Lucas, of course"? Or did it take a while for people to get to know you?
I mean, if you're talking way back, 2001, 2002, I mean, not really.
Yeah.
This was new, and there was obviously no internet or communication. I mean, the most advanced communication we probably had was the Nextel Direct Connect.
Yep.
And so really, it was all about going into a place and then people looking at the cameras and saying, wow, this is like out of this world. And but word spread pretty fast stateside, which was kind of cool. So, I mean, it caught on fairly quickly. I had to be selective about what I filmed because, I mean, it was a real hassle dealing with the editing back then.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this whole run here, this whole part of the race, going down, 7th, it's fucking awesome. Like how dense the crosswalks are. And there's also cool to see footage, even though this is like way back, like a little further back, but just to see footage of people walking around New York, because this is like, we don't see this right now. So it's like really refreshing to see, a dense city like this in action, and you guys threading through it,
Oh yeah. Well, I also like the fact that there are no bike lanes.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's way more flow. Cooper always talks about that, how the bike lanes have changed the flow and they have changed the timing of some of the waves. and how it makes it more dangerous to be on a bike when there weren't bike lanes, or when there is bike lanes.
Oh yeah, yeah, it definitely does. Absolutely. Um, yeah, but I mean, these guys are mashing it. Yeah, I mean, they're just throwing, and then that same energy is brought to this checkpoint, and I mean, you guys have seen this scene. You can hear it. You can hear Alfred. So, but that's the energy, that people bring to this. That's how important this race is.
Yeah. And Chris is mad because they wouldn't sign his manifest. He gives the backstory on that. People are asking about the argument at the checkpoints here.
Boy, I actually forget what the heck that was about. Them not signing Chris's manifest.
So Chris just signs it himself. It's great. It's such a Chris move.
Well, he is funny. There are a lot of things. I don't know quite why either, but some people just attract trouble. I mean, he's had a fair amount of incidents during these races.
Yeah. No, he's got a lot of heart,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, really. So, I mean, I'd rather have that than somebody who's mediocre.
Definitely. So these three are on each other, and how do you feel when you're following like this, and one of the racers takes your wheel and like uses you to draft? You feel anything weird about that?
Well, I try to neutralize that because I don't want to affect the outcome of a race.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, I do try to be out of the way. Sometimes it's meant dropping back, or it's meant, doing something that, move that's gradual, but is evasive in terms of interfering with the results. Yeah, I mean, I do keep that in mind because that is a code. And, as you saw with the footage that I just posted, I mean, there was a point where I was in Squid's way. So, there's something on the contrary.
Yeah.
And I was slowing him down, and so that's something that I learned, how not to do as well.
Yeah. I feel, there have been races that I filmed where I felt like I didn't want to alter the results either. And I was only riding with, 2 or 3 other people. And I was like, what the hell I need to like drop back, but I wanted to keep on the front too. And there was someone behind me, and I was like, get away, get off my wheel. What are you doing? Like, I'm not racing. And I felt like I was helping this person cheat. So I actually pulled away and like let them go. And then I basically lost the front because I did that. And then that was kind of the end of me filming the front because of that move, because I felt like I was gonna alter the race. So I like pulled off and took a line I wouldn't normally take.
Yeah.
And then I let everyone go, and then I kind of got like, there went the pack. And then I was like, man. So the next time I filmed Monster Track, I was like, not doing that again. And I stayed with them,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've handled that, with, if I have intel on, I mean, that's in between situation. If I have intel on the, checkpoints, then I will just withdraw and then pick back up.
Yeah.
So I'll do that, and then maybe I might get some interesting footage there as well. At one of the other checkpoints. Or, I'll do a sprint on the road bike that only a road bike can do, so I'll do that, I'll just go into, 5411 and just redline it, I mean, sorry, but I mean, I'm not going to, I want both, so do that. Or, maybe the pack, that's behind is strong enough to catch those guys in the front, and the people in the front don't know what the people in the back do, and so they're going to slow down, and that, and so it's going to be fun to watch the chase and watch your kids. So and then maybe you just lose the front. I mean, that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes for sure.
You're always thinking of these things, when you're in our role. Absolutely.
Not this year's Monsters Track, but last year's Monster Track was the first time I was there filming. And so were you. And I remember being like, Oh man, Lucas is here. I was already like, probably. I was like, I might film it. I might not. I'm gonna show up with my cameras, but I might not film it. I don't feel. You know how you just don't feel. Sometimes I just didn't feel comfortable with it. I was just like, maybe I won't film it today. I think it had to do a little bit with the weather and how just something in me was. I was like, I don't know if I want to film this. And then I saw you there as well, and I was like, oh man, Lucas is here. So I had to go over and be like, all right. And I had already made up my mind I was gonna film. And I was like, Lucas, I just want you to know, like, you're the OG, like, please, you get all of the space, your priority. I'll get out of your way. And you were super cool. You were just like, oh, it's all good, whatever. You were like, yeah, it's fine. And honestly, we rode together. I have footage of you in my clips, and I think I'm in some of your clips. We only rode together for the first, 15 minutes or so, and then we actually took separate people, and our groups met on First Ave, and then we were both with the front pack riding
Love
together,
Lucas
kind
shirt.
of next to each
Thanks
other
for the morning
on parts of
routine,
it,
praying
and then
gesture.
our guys who were following split up, and we took different routes. And I thought that was a really cool outcome for how it worked, because I was getting a little worried. I was like, man, I don't want to be, if Lucas is in the same group and there's two people filming the front 5 people, that's too many filmers. So I would have pulled back. I would have dropped off and let you take it. That's kind of but it was cool that it happened how it happened, and our guys all split. So we ended up filming different groups who were both in contention for the front of the race. I mean, that race had a lot of incidents with 666 and some crashes, and you got a crash on film, which was kind of crazy. The pump fake right turn and the skid, and then no one was hurt, but it was cool. It was cool to see that we both could film the race and not be in each other's way. I was just worried about being in your way because you're the OG. I was like, Lucas, please.
Well, it's interesting because sometimes, if you've got two film, you can have, it can be an interesting dynamic. Now, there's an incident in Puerto Rico where this guy, I was filming the breakaway in an alley cat. Traffic was heavy. It was a shit show, and the breakaway was trying to get free from the pack. There was 100+ riders in this alley cat, and they were trying to get clean airspace and not be and so we were going super heavy, hard, threading the needle through all this traffic. And this rider comes alongside, and then he takes the whole shot that I'm going to take, and then he takes another one, and and at one point, during the he says to me, "Oh, hey, I want to be in one of your films, and
oh
and
no,
then,
oh no."
And his friend says to him, he says, "Yeah, well, you're going to fuck up his line, And I said, well, if I was a less skilled person, I didn't say this to him, than he would. But the fact is that if somebody, is in a race and they take my line, they cut me off or something like that, that's just an additional skill." And this is the part that I said to the guy. I said, well, that's something else that I learned, today, because I did take another line and I made up for it because he was in my line. So I improvised. And I got good footage of him. So it was fine, and they both kind of looked at me kind of surprised at the answer. But I was cool with that. And if you're skilled, then, you have the confidence to play that off, no matter what the situation is, no matter what somebody's going to do. So, I've had people, just some absolute, crazy moves in front of me. And, maybe it's a new skill that I learn because of that. And, or, it's an old skill that I rely on. But I have, a lot of things in the tool chest that I can draw on. So.
Do you feel like people spice it up for you?
Yeah.
When they see you, when they know that you're behind them, like, oh shit, Lucas is behind me, and they turn it on a little extra. They push it a little past their comfort zone.
Yeah, of course, and that's, I mean, that's what, that's the great thing about a camera, and about film
Yeah.
is that, and I do that, when I'm writing on, and I have the body cam, and I'm going somewhere, am I going to take the lines, and going as fast as I would as if I, was not rolling cameras on a ride? Absolutely not. My speeds are going to be a lot faster when I have the cameras on my body. Definitely.
Yeah.
And it increases your confidence, and everything. So, and, you know, people see me, and this is a question that I've had from people about if people challenge me when I go to different cities, they see me, and pretty much no matter where in the world I go, no matter what continent, people see the flag on the front of my bike, or they see, and they challenge me.
Yeah.
And, the race is on. And I love that because I don't have a rest day. I don't have a slow day. I'm not in the normal schedule of a rider, where I have like recovery days. It's kind of not in my lingo.
Yeah. You got a swim day. That's it. You got a swim day, but you're probably still riding your bike.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Dan Milberg is saying he loves your shirt. What Bicycle Film Festival shirt is that from? What year? Do you know? '09. It is an '09. Dan, thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the donation.
Yeah.
I got more questions for you here. Let's see. What do we got here? I wanted to talk. Actually, fuck these questions. I wanted to talk a little bit about you filming again and more about how, where do you think the future of the kind of like things that we're producing for YouTube, like do you think it's going to change? Do you think it's going to get how do you think it's going to look in 5 to 10 years from now?
Wow. 5 to 10 years, this boy. Well, I mean, they do have 3D, and then there's also 360. So, I mean, it's but how different is it, from that footage that I just posted of '05, the footage that's playing today? Really? I mean, how different is it?
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about this. I haven't been asked this. But, I venture to say that like 3D didn't really take off the way that people thought it would. The 360 might be easier to deal with. The technologies might be more stable, better colors, more realistic. So I guess in terms of the filming itself, maybe better and more of what we have. But in terms of the experience, of people, watching it, and of community and whatnot, there are interesting things, and that might be a question that Brent Barber might better address, is the future of this.
Yeah.
Because that guy has seen things that I didn't know were coming, and he's told me things that I didn't agree with, and I didn't really want to, and I didn't think he was right, but, son of a bitch, it turns out.
God damn you, Brent.
Well, you called that one. So, some of, having to do with technology, taking place on things that, used to be more community. So, I think that it's going, I mean, yeah, I think that it's going to get strong. I think that things are going to get stronger, and that things are going to be, there's going to be more online communities. And I think that, I mean, right now, it is kind of fragmented. There is a strange vacuum because of the fact that we don't have these races that people go to now, these events, and there is and there's also, I feel like right now the YouTube is very fragmented. In terms of the groups and the people, what people are following, what people are watching. I don't feel like it's rationalized yet, and it doesn't really feel like it's gotten to where the community has, and the way things that the way things are when we used to meet up. So,
Yeah.
anyways, and the thing about this is, um, I guess the answer that I can give is from our perspective, which is that I don't know what's going to happen over. That's a bigger picture situation for Brent, but but the thing is that from our perspective, what I would like to see, and I see what's happening, is that riders are following the type of riders that I see following my channel. The riders that I see interacting with you. I don't know as much about that, but are riders that are looking for something that is closer to them than the pro rider on a team who is on some contract and going off these races. Because I mean, who inspires? Who do you learn from? You know, you can learn from somebody who, as I said, is on $800,000 a year contract, and they've got all the power meters and the sponsor, the van, or you can learn from somebody where there's less of a gap in the lifestyle and in what we do. We do what our audience, what you guys do every day on the same streets.
Yeah.
It's just that we might have more experience and some different equipment.
Yeah.
But the fact is that we relate to our audience a lot closer than most of the other cycling channels that I see out there.
That's so interesting that you say this. We haven't even talked about this. I'm on totally the same page with you. People like you and I, and even people who aren't making content, but the people who are, relevant in the cycling scene, who aren't these huge sponsored people. They're just like regular people who are doing good things for the community. They're way more attainable. You see somebody and you're like, oh, I know that guy. Like I've seen him riding around. Like he's just like me. Like I can relate. It's a relation thing. I can't relate to some guy who's got, a crazy contract and riding all these, bikes that he probably doesn't even own, and like getting paid and wearing all this fresh, crazy gear. Like, and going to training camps. No, I relate to the person who's like over here riding on the street and traveling and like has a day job doing something else. Even, you know what I mean? And and I think people are attaching to that better or more because it is more approachable and attainable. And it's like, oh, that's just the guy that he lives down the street.
Well, yeah, and the fact is that we have damn good lives, and the thing is, and we have the bicycle. It's the ultimate expression of freedom, and we live on our own accord, and so that is what you can learn from us. And as I said, you can learn to survive in traffic. Those are things that you will learn from watching Terry's channel, from watching my channel, and so there are, as I said, a lot of other channels out there that have a lot of great content, but and there are other channels out there that teach similar things and that you can learn from. But the fact is that I like to have the action video. But in order to get that message of living on your own accord and having the ultimate expression of freedom and having the bike, riding safer, riding faster, quality of life. I convey those messages, but sometimes I convey them through an unconventional way, and through action films and through films that are fun to watch.
Yeah.
Those are things that are a lot more obtainable, and that you learn from, and that are a lot more practical. And so I certainly see our audiences and our channels reaching a much broader platform of people, because also people are kind of fed up with the way that media communicates messages to people, and the way that people are controlled, and the way that people's assets own them.
Yeah. I want to. This is a small window for me to plug what I think the future is. What I'm trying to get into, and I don't know if I've told you this about this, but I'm trying, and what we're doing right now is kind of an extension of this further progression where I see people might be interested in watching. I'm really interested in pushing streaming live coverage of, say, Monster Track, or say you're out riding and you're actually filming stuff for YouTube or whatever. You're out riding and you actually, on top of it, you're building a live stream. You're streaming back to something, and it's live, and people can watch like in crystal clear quality live footage that's watchable and stable. And imagine if it was like Monster Track, or a big race, and there's something about the energy and about the rawness of it being uncut and being right there happening, watching it, that is different than an edited video or an upload that you upload, the next day or a few weeks later. So I'm working on trying to get the live technology ready for Twitch. I started a Twitch, and it's in the chat. I just dropped the Twitch link, but they're calling it IRL streaming, and you need a bunch of gear to get into it properly right now, but I'm investigating other options, and I think that is a really cool, I'm not saying it's the future, but it's something very different than what's really happening right now. And there's people who are doing IRL, they call it IRL, like cycling streaming. There's like a guy who's pretty famous in New York who does like Uber Eats, but no one has taken it to what the kinds of stuff we film. You know what I mean? So if we're doing that live, I think it would be crazy.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's true. Live. Yeah, you're right.
Live, and then if it's available, you set up. Say the top 5 people of the race. And they're down with you putting in a device on them. You have all 5 of them stream, and then you can have someone here at my desk, those feeds coming in and switching cameras live for people. It would be insane. And it's obtainable. It's not that far away. It's the technology's here right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I know. I mean, I can live feed all of Key Biscayne. Those of you not familiar with Miami, Key Biscayne is this peninsula just south of southeast of the city, jets out into the water. It's where all the huge road rides that you see on my films take place. But it's a riding, haven, paradise. Anyways, Key Biscayne has great reception, but as soon as I go downtown into Miami, it cuts off. But it'll get there.
Yeah, it'll totally get there. You got to use bonded cellular networks and a couple other hardware things. I'm looking into it, but once 5G is like ready and available, it will be there. But until then, there's other things where you take different signals from different networks and you combine them. It's very interesting stuff. But the whole switching, I'm all about giving the riders, the racers, their own POVs, and then you can even have little title, like it would be like Sports Center live. Yeah. Like kind of like how they do like Formula One racing. They have the driver's point of view where it goes in the car for a second. It's very similar to that. Anyways, that was a tangent. Not really. We were talking about technology. And then also, I know you had didn't you have a 360 camera? I saw you were posting a little bit of 360 footage in the past. Do you still have it? Are you still using it?
Yeah, the Garmin Verb. And actually that's an excellent camera. And it's easy to edit the footage. I mean, who knows, I might go back to that. I mean, I love it because, I don't have to wear 2 cameras on my head. And I like the fact that you can adjust it. I mean, you can in post edit, just adjust it anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I like to cover as many angles as I possibly can.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can just turn the camera and post. It's so nice. And it's stable. You don't need a gimbal really. And what I did that I thought was pretty cool with 360 footage is, how you can load it raw into YouTube, and you can like do a 360 view of the footage instead of reframing it.
Yeah.
When you, for streaming, like we're doing right now, I could have the 360 footage up on this computer and I can move it for people. You know what I mean? I can play back a 360 and move it around. Like, oh, so someone's like, oh, we want to look to the west. Okay, I can turn the camera that way for everybody. It's
Wow.
super cool stuff. So technology, I think, can be there, like is going to get there eventually. And we might, in my opinion, we might not be most people take their most of their media through their phone. Anyways, for me, I don't know if you look at the analytics on YouTube, majority of my views come from mobile.
Yeah.
And that's not just for me. I know that's for most of the internet. Not everyone's sitting at a desk. A lot of people are consuming from their phones on this smaller screen. So I think that the phone will be replaced one day, and definitely within our lifetime somewhere. So
Wow.
we'll be taking in media another way, and I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is because it's so out of reach right now. It could change. It could be anything. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it could be a holograph.
Finally.
Well, you know,
Cheers,
there's
folks.
always an optimal way to approach new technology, and I feel like it's not right when it comes out. And I've done this a lot, and I know, you know, that you like to do this too. You know, you jump on, you know, because it's like it's brand new, you know, and the streaming thing, you know, the 360.
Yeah, I just want to get in there and play with it.
And, you know, I've noticed that that's ended up costing me a lot because there's bugs that have to be worked. There's beta version, you know, and there's new. So, you know, and it's so hard to resist being, you know, blazing the trail and being an early entrant. And, you know, I'll do that in the future, of course. But it's sometimes I feel like I have to taper it because sometimes there's just so much put into the technology. And there's a balance between how much you're going to spend, you know, on the technology and your resources, your time, versus you know, creating great motion picture.
Yeah, no, true, definitely. Yeah. There's a point where you're like, am I out riding my bike, or I'm out, like, you only have so many hours in a day, or am I making videos for people to enjoy while I'm riding my bike? And you need to figure out how much time, this is what I do, how much time I'm allotting to each. And, you know, I get out of balance every once in a while, you know, with the media side of things, like producing content and what you're saying, like I'm figuring things out. So there's so much behind the scenes that's happening for research and just messing with shit, you know, before you dial it in, before you actually make something and upload it to share it with people. So there's a lot of experimenting going on. And then I'm like, well, shit, I haven't ridden my bike in 2 weeks, like a real ride. Of course I'm riding my bike every day to get around, but like going on a ride for hours. I feel like that right now. I need to go on a ride.
I know. Yeah. Well, I tell you, there's been rides where I've gone on the ride and it's like I've spent 20 minutes riding and then an hour fucking with some new technology.
Yeah, I don't want it to be like that, but sometimes, yeah. I hope the live stream stuff, when I start experimenting more, isn't going to be more tweaking with the gear than riding, because I want to share the ride. I don't want to be tweaking with gear the whole time.
No.
We got Ramen Riders, thank you for the donation and number of notches. Another beer. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I'm going to not end this conversation at all, but what we're going to do is, Lucas, I'm going to give you a quick, it's like a 4-minute break if you need to, you know, use the restroom or grab something to drink real quick, and we'll give everyone a quick break. We'll be right back in like 3 or 4 minutes, so see you in a sec. I had to go to the bathroom. I had to go to the bathroom, guys.
Yeah.
We are back. Wow. I had to use the bathroom. I'm sorry, everybody. You know, sometimes you gotta go. Hopefully you use that time wisely, Lucas.
I do the same thing. I mean, look, that's a
Yeah, I had a coffee. I have
the dust.
exactly. Got to drink the water, man. You got to stay hydrated out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me see. There's some people in the chat here. They keep asking me about the goddamn water. They're saying something about jumping in the water. What's up with the water? Did you jump? Did you jump in the Hudson ever?
I've jumped in the Hudson, yes.
What happened with that? The word is
Yep.
you got an anal infection from the. Get out of here, dude. All right, I'm gonna read it. I already read it. Harry, the God of Speed. We love Harry in the chat. He's kind of a little bit of a troll, but that's why we like him. He's saying, word is you got an anal infection from the Hudson River when you jumped in with the city bike. Is that true? And then some people are like, ask him. So, not to put you on the spot.
Well,
I think he's just being a troll.
Yeah, hey, I mean, we like those. You know, it's all good.
We love them all.
Oh yeah. Come on. You know, the fact is, I mean, I've been in so much fucked up shit in all the different parts of the world. I mean, go to Fukushima, swim in radioactive beaches, go to Chernobyl, swim in radioactive river, you know, drink the radioactive water, go to, you know, landfills, go crash in, you know, places you might get hepatitis, whatever. I mean, it's, I guess I've built up an immune system.
Yeah, for sure. I think you become stronger that way, honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So no problems with the Hudson, no problems with, you know, anywhere that I've swim, you know, yet.
I think that when people use too much hand sanitizer all the time, it's actually not good for the body.
No, I mean,
same thing with sunscreen. Do you use sunscreen often?
Oh, I mean, I have sunscreen down to a science.
Okay. I don't fuck with it.
I don't like it, believe me, but being in southern Florida, if you don't do it correctly, you're going to age. I mean, I don't look like this because, you know, I don't protect myself.
It's because you ride your bike. What do you mean?
No. Yeah.
And you smile. You smile often. That's why you look like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I go fast. So the faster you go, slower life goes by. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, sunscreen, you got it seriously is essential because if you don't, I mean, I've won races that are in, you know, 90-degree temperature, you know, very humid. I love the hot weather, but part of that is the fact that my body acts as a refrigerator, you know, and anybody's does when it's that hot, and your skin is going to do that. Your skin has to keep you cool. That's its job. It can't do the job if it burns, you know, and you can look up, I mean, the science behind this and how to apply whatnot is beyond scope of this meeting, but
It's never out of the scope, Lucas.
yeah, it's well, there's things like making sure that you apply it. You have half an hour before you go out, or something in that it only is good for 2 hours, so you got to reapply it. And sunscreen is SPF 20 to SPF 70. And then there's sunblock, which actually blocks instead of filtering it and sits on top of the skin, and it looks really white and weird. But it's natural and it's healthier. So, anyways, that's what you get living in Southern Florida, is you get to know all about this stuff. But I'm going to tell you guys, even if it's cold, you still got to protect that face.
Definitely, yeah. I learned that in when I went to Thailand and when I went to Jakarta, and when I was in Indonesia. Period. They say they have 3 suns there. That's what they told me. They're like, we have 3 suns here. Like, you're damn right, you have 3 suns. The sun there is so penetrating. And I learned when I first traveled to Thailand. I looked around and I realized I'm the only idiot walking around with shorts and a short sleeve shirt on. Everyone has long sleeves on. And there's a reason for that. It's to protect the skin from the sun. So when I travel, I always bring a long sleeve button down, what's it called? Just a white shirt that's all been beat because I've had it for years. There's like stains and holes in it, but it's like, that's my travel shirt. I put that on, covers my skin, a little bit of protection, and I'm good.
Well, look, I can tell you that I worked outside. Landscaping and whatnot, and swam and everything for years doing no shirt. So the top of my shoulders has got damage from the sun. Now I don't sweat as much from the damaged part of the skin, whereas I do more from the part that was not exposed.
I see. So it's not doing its job cooling anymore.
Yeah, so you guys want to stay. Not only do you stay young, but looking young, but you also, as I said, can kick ass in hot as hell weather.
I'm gonna get back to a few. I think we have a few more on this list, and then I'll give it back to you. I think I still want you to talk about. We have one more question that you and I need to talk about, but let me get to some of the viewers' questions here.
Yeah.
How many cab windows have you broken? I don't know where this question comes from. I guess I missed a video that you might have posted or something.
Oh,
or there's a story I don't know.
Certainly my share. So my favorite way to break one is to they have the window like slightly down.
Yeah.
So if you grab the window and you pull it, it's just going to go in a million pieces.
Okay. So pro tip for everyone back watching this at home. If you pull the window towards you, it'll break into 1,000 pieces.
You'll see police do that. Actually, you'll see, like, if it's a veteran cop, he'll have his buddy stand behind him because he knows that when you pull the window, you're going to fall back.
Ah, okay.
So his buddy will spot him, and then they have like some sovereign citizen pulled over preaching a right to travel, and the cop will, oh, you don't want to give me license and registration? Hold on.
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jesus, the window. I mean, a lot. It's quite a few. I don't know. I mean, probably a couple dozen.
Okay.
Yeah, mirrors. I mean, a lot. U-lock justice.
Yeah, how many U-locks? That's another question. How many U-lock battles have you been in? That was a true question. And I was like, U-lock battles? What the hell?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with a U-lock, I mean, it's less of a battle and more of a
get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, maybe in war tactic of hit and run, and get the fuck out of there. Go down a one-way with traffic. How many? I mean, over the years, I mean, I'm sure it's been like into 6 figures of damage, but I don't know how many. I mean, I've been doing, U-locks a lot.
Okay. Let me see. I think we're almost done. Oh, how did you figure out? Um, how did you figure out the balance between riding a bike and how it works for you, and like basically like what you do versus what you love? I guess what you do to pay the bills, and then what you love, riding bikes. How did you figure out the balance?
I have not. There is not much. When you love something this much, I keep pretty insane hours. I'm not going to front. These computers are lit up with, editing video, or with, delegating that, or with day trading, or with, running my companies, or with, something. It's a battle, and sometimes it's just one of insanity, and you feel like it never ends. And but you're willing to put up with that insanity because of how much you do like what you're doing. So, do I have a balance in my life? No. Do I have a life? Some people would think that I don't really, considering the amount of time, energy, that I spend on these things.
Yeah.
But it's something where I don't, just want to go on a ride. When I go on that ride, it takes on a significance to me, of a movement, something that is theatrical, something that is a much bigger picture than you or I. Line of sight is an example. That embodies all of those values. That's something that Brent Barber, really forced onto me, and at the time, I don't know why he was pushing so hard to do that, but he had the vision. He knows more about how powerful film is, than I do, and I do now, and I know that. But the fact is that that film influenced an entire generation to ride, and it increases in power, the more people that watch it. So what will you sacrifice for giving that to society, and for that contribution? That is something that I have, certainly, in life's balance, yeah, I have paid dearly for. And, I don't, sometimes I don't strike much of a balance. I'm not, that practical with things. But as I said before, I'll take that any day over the mediocrity. And I hear from you guys about, how I inspired you to ride, or about how, your dad is riding because of me, about how, you take new risks, things like that, about how much you love my films, about an incident in my film that you saw that changed your life, or that influenced you. That never gets old to me, even though I hear that every day in a direct message or an email, or when I'm out on the street. It really never gets old, because I know the biggest thing about this is why am I here? I'm here for you guys, for your audience, and I know that this is the first time that you are telling me about this, about how it inspired you. And even if it's the same part of the film, the same iconic scene that I've heard a million times, it's the first time for you that we're having this conversation. And so it is totally cool with me, and it is welcome. And also, with the amount of people that I interact with, I learn something from you guys almost every time that I might not have through that interaction.
I think that's very super powerful, and especially once it's on a platform like YouTube, where, not saying it's there forever, but it's there, it's up, and it's going to sit there, until YouTube gets pulled down or people don't go on the internet or whatever. And it's going to continue people are going to continue to see it over the years. They're going to continue. And every time you hit that upload button for a new video, all of those are the same potential. That's what I find super amazing about distributing things on YouTube. That's why I like it, because exactly what you just said. I hear messages from people like, oh, like, you got me into writing, or I'm super stoked when someone says, you got me and my dad in writing. Or some people are like, my girlfriend was super mad at me for watching your videos, and now it's part of our routine. We both watch you. Like we love watching your videos, and you got my girlfriend into riding. She never rode bikes before. Like that kind of stuff is it just feels great. And I know every time you make a new video and you put it up, like it has the potential to reach more people, and it's powerful, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, it does. I mean, film changes everything, and no matter what, it's the democratization of society and it's people's behavior. It is all kinds of things. So this is the way. Definitely. I mean, if it goes back to if it wasn't on film, it didn't happen.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What do you have planned for the future of YouTube? You would you say that you started your pushing YouTube hard last year? It's about the time when you like started to do it more often, right?
Yeah. Well, a certain somebody came over to Brent Barber's house, and that certain somebody uh, was talking about how his YouTube channel was doing, and about how things have changed for him, and things are he's got a good tempo and whatnot, and so here we are. So I mean, you were one of the people that influenced me to certainly get more involved in this platform,
Yeah.
and yeah, and what I see from this is certainly an expansion on a lot of ideas, a lot of things that are that I've got footage that in the archives. I've got a lot more of that footage from the early days, from way back when, generations back. That where that footage came from 2003, 2002, from way back when. So that is a plan for the future for my
That's
YouTube.
awesome. You got to do the slow release, put one out every week or every 2 weeks or so, just a new oldie. Be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to do that, and the reality is that I mean there are things that in my life and my travels that I'm not spending as much time on now because of this disruption, and so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be delivering more content onto YouTube.
Yes. That's the results of, we're just, uh, what was I saying to myself? I was saying like, I have no other choice basically. Like I have so much more free time now. I'm just going to keep pushing YouTube, and it's, I'm not looking back. I'm just like, let's go, let's do it then. We're all being disrupted by what things that are out of our control. So let's just go with the flow, ride the wave.
Yeah, I mean, life is 99% about what you do about a situation, and how you adapt, when things happen. And the fact is, I do feel like with the footage that I've, been cribbing and storing all these years, there are a lot of things that, like would have gotten to sooner, but here we are.
Definitely. No, I know exactly how that is. Especially if it was on tape, and now it's digitized, right? It's all just on hard drives.
Well, yeah, I took the footage I was on film. We did 16 millimeter film Bolex, and I digitized that, and I took
Yeah.
the tape stuff and digitized that, the high 8, and the mini DV tapes, and I mean everything I have is digitized. I mean that was done years ago. What was
Yeah.
not done was curating it in a way, and bringing it onto the platform.
Yeah.
What I'm doing. So yeah.
Because when you were filming that stuff, there wasn't a platform really. It's like you make a film and you show your film to people who are around, or you make a film for the Bicycle Film Festival. There was no place to really share it, right?
No, there was not. That was it. It was Bicycle Film Festival, and
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because when you look at that, we used to come into a city, and without any internet, without any communication, that was it. And you would have, I mean, there were parties, there were gatherings at Bicycle Film Festival that had thousands and thousands of people at them,
Yep.
and they were in the best venues in the world. You didn't have that social media. You didn't have, but you had a different kind of buildup. The buildup was more local,
Yeah.
and It was more about movements. And it was more tribal. It was a lot different.
Yeah.
And yeah, life. And I mean, if you go back further, I mean, life before internet was even more so. I mean, if you go way back, there were people that would object to the mere sight of a bicycle when you showed up to a business, and park, so they were embarrassed, but so. So times have changed quite a bit.
You rode a bike here? I can't believe that. You didn't drive your car?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I still get that. It's kind of funny, depending on where I am.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a question here. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. What's up? Can you tell us the backstory on the burning Lamborghini?
Oh yeah, and I should post a full video, but I should
You
take
should.
that.
You should.
So, and I even, by the way, and you couldn't see it. It didn't turn out like I thought it would. But I even got I got the footage from the city on that, and the camera at that location that the city had kind of showed it, but it was really lousy. Those cameras are not, they're not as good as you think. They don't get the license plates, which is probably why I got away with as much shit I have on vandalism to cars. I didn't realize how bad the footage was with this city cam. I mean, maybe it's changed lately. If it has, then yeah, we're all fucked. But you just cannot get a plate from those cameras. So too bad. Yeah, I was riding, and I see this Lambo on fire, and I said, "Oh my god!" And it was cold out that day. It was cold as a witch's tit that day.
Wait,
and,
it gets cold in Miami?
Oh no, this Lambo was in Boston.
Oh, okay. Thank you for clearing that up.
Oh yeah. So, anyways, I go up, and it was kind of nice because it was warm, and I was freezing from my ride.
Yeah. Wait, you didn't set fire to the Lamborghini. Let's just put that out there. You didn't set fire to it. It was already on fire.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that one.
Okay. People in the chat wanted to know. They're calling you Lucas the Lambo burner.
Oh man. We should find one.
I think we need to make a bumper sticker or some kind of sticker for that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll post it because I came up to. You could see this guy. He was just demoralized by this whole thing, and I looked at him, and I said so. I think I said, "Oh, is it a rental?" And he said, "Oh, why would you ask that?" And I said, "Well, because people usually, gun the engine, and they're standing still in this fucking thing." And you could just see this guy just melt. He thought he was so, cool with the Lamborghini.
I love it.
Yeah, it's quite a day.
And his dreams were just shattered when it was burning. I mean, you got to have insurance on a Lamborghini. I don't know what kind of insurance you would have on that, but you got to have something, right? I would.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know people that drive those cars, and it depends. I mean, some of them they put so much into the car they don't actually have proper insurance.
That's
because
a ridiculous offset. Talk about balance. That's a broken balance.
well, it's often. I mean, unfortunately, the ultimate example of something that they do because they think that people are going to think that they're, successful and that they're winning or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, they prioritize that, and they don't know who they actually are.
Oh, cars are the number one. I think it's probably the very top of that. Like if you were to put together a list of like things that people do to make them seem like they're achieving or super successful or rich, I think cars at the very top. Like what else is there? Because people buy crazy ass cars and they're still renting houses or renting apartments, and they buy a fancy ass car. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and they really lose themselves in that because, like I said, they just don't. That's their identity, and that stuff ends up owning you. And
Yeah.
I've had I've had the same car since high school. The car I got in high school, I still have that car.
Oh, the '89 Lambo.
87.
Okay. '87 Lambo, cool.
It's a police cruiser,
It's
and
it's it's got a bike rack on it. That's cool on the Lambo. No, what is it? I'm sorry.
it's a Crown Vic police cruiser.
Hell yeah! Of course you'd have a Crown Vic.
So,
Is it an old
and
cop car or a highway patrol?
oh yeah. Well, it's really strange because it used to years ago. I'm talking a long time. It used to be that I'd pull up behind people and they'd think I was the police.
Yeah. Did it have the little light on it? If
Oh
you
yeah,
could-
it's still got that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
sweet.
absolutely.
I always wanted one of those.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, that's one of the unfortunate things about Miami that you see, though, is the fact that people are going to extremes, to make other people think, that they're that successful. And like I said, they just don't know, they've lost track of their surroundings and who they actually are. That's the funny thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sad. Well, I mean, people do that with bikes, I guess, too.
Yeah.
They buy like super fancy bikes. I don't know. I guess it's a little different, but sometimes people buy
Yeah.
really fancy bikes and then they don't ride them at all.
Oh yeah, well you've seen that. You've seen that in Florida. I mean, one of the things that I advise people, when they're getting a bike, they say, well, I really want this class, or I really want this bike because it has this. It has like, well, if you really want a bike that's that fancy, then you can go on eBay. You can go to a market, and you can pick something up because somebody bought it. The bike shop sold them a bill of goods that they've only used like 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So buying
Yeah.
used is definitely the way to go for buying a bike. That's what people ask me,
Yeah.
like, what kind of bike should I get? I'm looking to get a fixie or something. And I'm always like, I don't know that brand. You ride whatever ride whatever bike you get your hands on. Like, I'm not going to promote a brand, that I'm not familiar with. And then buy used, always buy used.
Yeah, of course.
It's a lot better
Yeah,
that way.
so- Yeah, and I must say, Chinelli has been supporting the messenger community. They've supported my films. They've done a lot of events, a lot of alley cats, a lot of very cool stuff that other companies, would never want to put their hands on.
Yeah, definitely.
so-
I'm going to change the lower third and put the segment to say, now Lucas will plug his sponsors. Chinelli, baby. Yeah, so Chinelli's been there the whole time, right? You're still riding two Chinellis. You still own 2 Chinellis right now, right? What are they? People are asking about your bikes.
Yeah, it's the Superstar disc, and then it's the bootleg. I use that bike so little because I ride the road bike on dirt.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, it is. It's so funny because my criteria for a bike, first criteria has always been the color, how it looks, because I know that Chinelli is going to give me the best, the fastest.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because, when we went to, Team Rush and they did the team issue, they were white. And I've never ridden a white bike in my life. I said, I don't want a white bike. In New Jersey, they said, just try, Lucas, just, and I said, a white bike, oh, for God's sakes.
Lucas,
and,
we already made these for you. Take the fucking bike.
And I love it.
Yeah.
So the white is a lot of fun. It's a nice color. So, and it goes really well with black. So there we are.
The first time I rode with you in Miami, or maybe it was the only time. No, I rode with you after that too. But the first time we met up was at you were like, let's go do this Don Pond ride. And I was like, what the hell is a Don Pond ride? I didn't know what it was yet. And then you were like, yeah, we're going to meet up at 5:50 a.m. over here. And I was like, oh, fucking 5:50 in the morning? God, this guy's a mutant. He wakes up early and he works and he makes films and he rides his bike. God damn it. I guess you had to wake up early to do all that. And I was like, fine, I'll go do that. And some friends let me borrow a bike, and I showed up, and Lucas's bike was wrapped with these little Christmas lights, and he was wearing these antlers on his helmet with lights on it. It was so rad. I was like, he was like, yeah, people like it. I think it was around Christmas for sure, but it was pretty cool to see you hyped on that stuff, and it looked really nice, and the bike looked nice with the lights on it, especially at that time in the morning, because it wasn't sunrise yet. It was still dark outside when we met. So,
well, and that's something that's a culture of the street and of the alley cats, and that's something that I bring to the roadie culture is when there's a holiday, get a costume, do something, celebrate it, and still be fast and beat the other riders.
Yeah. Absolutely not aero enough, dude. Those antlers were not aero enough. Some of those guys on the ride, the Don Pond ride, were pretty serious, pretty aggro after that. Maybe I should play that video.
Well, it was so funny because what you're talking about is we had to cheat the course and cut the course because there was a technical problem with the camera I had to ask you about.
Yeah. So
and you were on another part of the course. And so we shortcut the route. We got the camera working again. And then we joined back up with the pack. And then I went up to the breakaway and everybody got pissed.
They were really upset. They were really upset about it. Let me see. I'm gonna see if we can pull it up real quick. Let's see. Let me switch to you guys who are still there, everyone that's still there. Hold on just a second, and we will be right back. I'm just going to lock this in real quick. We're still here. You can hear our voice. I'm just going to share the screen with Lucas. We'll just play that video real quick, and then we'll answer a few more questions, and then we'll probably wrap it up because we've been on here for, it's been a little over 2 hours, Lucas. It's been good chatting. While we're away, you guys, if you want to drop any other questions you want to end with, you want answered that we haven't asked. Someone keeps asking about how Lucas was inspired to put a camera on his helmet, but we did answer that earlier in the video. But Lucas, if you want to give him the short of that, when you decided to just throw a camera on your head and start filming.
Yeah, absolutely. It was during critical mass, and a friend of mine had of all things, shoulder camera. It was a big Super 8 camera with the big tapes, and I saw the footage, and I fell in love with that look, and I immediately had the vision to film what we do, bombing through traffic, doing alley cats, you name it.
All right, I got you back here. I'm gonna share my screen with you.
Okay.
And then we're gonna watch this together. I'm gonna play the audio back on this one because I won't get in trouble for playing it. I get in trouble playing that other audio earlier. Here we go.
All right.
So this is a video that Lucas and I filmed when I was in Miami. So let me take my face off of there. So yeah.
My name is Lucas Brunelle, and this is
his antlers there.
I love riding here, and this is like eternal youth, man. Wake up to this every day.
Hell yeah, on the city bike, boy. Oh, here it was, 6 a.m., see? Shout out to Alex who helped me film this, got the BTS.
So this group ride is amazing because people come from all over the world to actually do these rides.
So there's Lucas's bike I was just talking about with the lights and the antlers on it. It's so good.
Like, you're late for the ride, so you grab onto a car and start sketching. And you're passing other riders, doing moves through traffic, whatever. This time of day, there's not as much traffic on the streets, so it's not as fun. And Key Biscayne actually is not as fun for some of us because there aren't as many cars out there for us to work with. Key Biscayne's definitely a riding mecca. It's a place that very few cities have, where you're so close to the city, yet it's these really big swaths of jungle and wide bike lanes and everything. It's pretty cool. There's very few days in Miami where it's not cloudy. There's usually clouds here because it's tropical, which actually makes for amazing riding because you have really nice heat, warm weather, and then you've just got cloud cover so the sun's not bearing down on you. This is downtown that we're going through right now. This is always very fun. This is one of the funnest curves to go through, coming through here.
Watch out for that hot boy.
These bridges, this is very beautiful, but these bridges can be a pain because when they go up, you can sometimes run them, but sometimes you can't. Yeah, many times an alley cat has been decided by one of those drawbridges back there. This is downtown Brickell, pre-dawn, and this is where Rush Courier Service actually does a lot of their work, is for these buildings, these people, and it's very, very interesting place. A lot of history here. We're gonna go left. Yeah. That was fun. I think she was thoroughly confused. Sorry about that. All right, cool. This is the entrance to Key Biscayne. These are the famous tolls. Welcome to our playground. This is where everybody brings their best. The riders, the runners, the swimmer, whoever. The antique cars. This is Key Biscayne, Miami. So. Yeah, people go crazy about the antlers. It's really cool, the reactions that I get. And it's not the typical reactions I get to my riding or to how I am. It's funny because antlers are such an innocent connotation. I mean, reindeer is about the most innocent, harmless animal. And if you have antlers, you actually get a new, different kind of respect in traffic. It's kind of funny to see. People actually want you to go because they want to see your rack. And the antlers were inspired by a guy in New York. They're an alley cat that had horns. Then I saw a rack on a moose in Denali, Alaska. And I said, I'm festive, I want to give people a show. And so here we are. So this is what Alex is talking about this ride just growing, like everybody just coming out of nowhere. I mean, this ride is large now. This is the famous tolls. This is the entry to the Don Pond ride. We just passed the tollway where we're now in Key Biscayne, and now the action is going to start pretty soon with people going fast and having fun. why they want me to go, but okay.
Whoops, wrong button. That wasn't the white. That wasn't the white Brunelle, dude. What was that? This is my favorite part. Bombing on the track bike.
You're sketched. That's what you sketched.
This is my favorite part.
That's what you did, man.
Look at that. My bike's right there.
Bombing on the track bike.
Yo, some guy was like trying to fight you. I'm like, yeah, yeah. What's up, dude?
Oh, yeah.
I know you get amped in the ride, but chill,
You
dude.
saying that I don't do nothing? That I won't do nothing?
I said that you weren't gonna do anything. What's the point? Why?
He is dangerous the whole
No,
back.
you are.
I am?
Yeah, 'cause
I'm
your
the one
hands
that
are
has the
off.
camera?
Your hands are off, yelling at people instead of paying attention to what's happening in front of you.
You have to
Yeah, yeah.
talk to him
I
because your
will.
teammates.
I will.
And he
That was
endangers
going
all
off
people.
I will.
at the end.
Okay?
I will, no problem. But you don't need to get involved.
What do you mean? I'm in the group.
You don't need to.
I'm on the group.
You don't need to, bro. Every time you come, you start talking so much shit. Just chill out, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's just bikes. We're just chilling.
Just bike, but he endangers the whole pack.
He's not. I promise.
He got to put that shit away.
He's not.
No,
Okay?
professional here, man.
He's professional. Don't worry.
Now I already talked to him. Okay? But you, since I, huh?
So we bring to a close.
We got Lucas back. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. I was going to ask a few questions right before we go, but it looks like you were taking care of them in the chat. So maybe just say them out loud. The Syria footage?
Okay, so sure, yeah, I was taking advantage of a little bit of airtime there. The Syria footage is going to be out soon. We have the video done. It's just that I just wanted to check it over, you know, to make sure, because I like to let a film cool down and then view it from a fresh perspective. But Syria will be out soon. That was an amazing trip. We rode from the Tigris River to the Euphrates River. It was Iris and Adrian and I.
Wait, that's the same video. Did you guys also go into? Didn't you go into Iraq as well, or did you not get into Iraq?
Well, we started in Iraq and then made our way from Iraq over the Syrian border because you cannot fly directly into Syria, and so you know, and the coolest border crossing in the world, by the way, for me, has been Iraq to Syria, because you're literally waiting for your paperwork, and it is hot outside. It's midday sun, and you're waiting for your paperwork at the border crossing, which is all very questionable because you're not even supposed to enter Syria. And so while we're waiting, they let you swim in the Tigris River.
What? I'm sure you enjoyed that.
That was amazing. Very,
Excuse me. All right, and then the last. Someone wants me to talk about the tandem videos, like what inspired those, I guess, with planted matter.
oh boy. Well, she actually did, and she. I was in New York, and Chandra says, "Hey, let's do a video with the heels." And then, okay, we'll do a video with your heels that have cleats on the bottoms of them. That's really cool. And then we started talking. She says, by the way, I've got a tandem, and I would love to, go for a ride, go for a spin. And I said, well, let's do it. And so, she's seen my films. She knows what she's in for, as anybody else does. And so, we shredded around New York on the tandem.
And then she came to Miami and did one there as well? Because you guys did Down Pond recently. I saw that video.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that was a tandem of a different caliber. That one was very tough because keeping up with the pack was difficult. And the fact is, it presented its own problems with the wide wheels. It was a slower bike, but it really did go anywhere. At the end of the day, I would actually rather have that bike than a bike with the road wheels because we did the off-road section and we went on the beach. So it all worked out. We had to give the bike a tune-up, actually.
I loved her comment. She was like, "I'm aero. I'm pretty aero. I'm drafting Lucas the whole time, and Lucas can't get the draft of anyone's wheel."
Yeah.
She's just right behind you. It's so good.
Oh, yeah, tandems are fun. Yeah, tandems are a lot of fun. So I forgot how much fun they are. But definitely one in the future.
And somebody asked, I don't know, feel free if you don't want to answer this. I don't know there's like a bunch of people who were asking earlier about France. There's some story about France, something about being banned or something.
Yeah, so
Never heard this.
So that's a place that I don't think I'm allowed back to. There's several countries I'm not allowed back to, and France is one of them. So that was an incident with a guy one night that had a collision with a motorcycle, and it was a guy that was riding the Alley Cat. He was doing very well in the Alley Cat, but then he crashed into a motorcycle, and in a bizarre twist of events, what happened was there was this guy. So he takes off because he's trying to win the Alley Cat, but then this guy in this Audi is chasing him, and he's trying to, and he just keeps chasing, and so then my friend avoids a checkpoint, and then and he's running after him down these small streets, and then he like kicks his back wheel out, and then
oh my God.
We throw punches, and then Jordan, throws some punches at him, and then a couple other guys, and then another guy gets involved, and it was a big fiasco. And then what happens is he starts going after my friend again, and so I start chasing him around cafe, and he's like knocking over tables. He's trashing the place.
Oh shit!
Yeah, fancy cafe in France, and so. The police arrive, and they take me and another guy down to the police station, and they're interrogating us about who the rider was, and they keep asking. And this is a guy that he's a messenger, he's Ukrainian, he's a friend, and so the police think for a moment I'm gonna fucking give his name up.
Yeah.
And so the police are saying, well, I know that you met him on an app. I know you guys, you riders meet on these apps, don't you? And
I met him on an app.
Well, and
did you swipe right or did you swipe left?
Come again?
Did you swipe right or did you swipe left on that app?
Oh, I think
I'm just kidding.
Ryan, you can swipe any way you want. So this son of a bitch, he was laying in, and put on all the stuff that he's going to do to me, and I brought up the American embassy a couple of times, and
left you alone.
So But they were mad. They were very mad. And like he grabs me by the arm. It's kind of old school there,
Yeah.
grab me by the upper arm, and then he's walking me out of the police station, and I have my cleats on, and he shoves me. There's no cameras in this hallway, and he just shoves me for the send where I'm like sliding on my cleats, and I bang into the door, and then I
Oh,
hit
no.
the door, and then I almost go down the stairs, which is probably what he was hoping for, and then I said, "What about the bike?" And he just shuts the door, and then I went to the front desk, and they said, "Oh yeah, the bike you can pick up at such and such." So I went and got the bike and called it a night. But they got all the information about my hotel and a bunch of other stuff, and they said, "We're going to get a warrant to take the footage off of your cameras." And so at that point, we just left in the middle of the night.
Oh shit! You just left I guess that's the bonus of being in Europe. You just can leave the country and it's not that far.
No,
The country lines are short. Damn, that's
no.
crazy.
And they used to be, yeah. So I'm not allowed in France. I'm not allowed in New Zealand because I didn't pay a speeding ticket there.
Oh fuck, New Zealand's a beautiful place. I've never been. I've never been. I want to go really bad.
Yeah, it was nice. But you'll see the same stuff in Australia, so whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. And there's that little incident that I had in Hong Kong. So yeah, and I don't know. There's a few places in the world that I'm just not welcome back to.
Bad boy.
Thank-
Mandy has a question, and this is a good question for you to answer out loud on stream. Is it possible to buy your Lucas Brunelle shirts designed by Futura? I can't find them online.
Oh, well, it's a good question. I'm going to be linking to all of that stuff below my videos.
Nice.
Yeah,
So it'll be in the
absolutely.
description of all your videos. You're going to start selling some merch.
Yeah, I am.
The people need it. They want it.
Yeah, totally. And that's like another thing that I've been busy, running companies, and I've been busy traveling, playing film, but here we are.
Yeah.
I am doing all these things now that I probably should have done some time ago.
Now you're going with the flow and making time for it. You got the time for it. Is there anything else you want to close on?
Well, look, I guess what I have to say about all of this is that I had a lot of friends, actually most of my friends that I grew up with die, and the fact is that's one of the reasons why I value the life so much, and why I live the way that I do. So, if you're looking at improving, if you're looking to improve your ride, if you're looking to do things better, watch channels, and listen to people that are closer to what it is that you're doing. I know I do, whether it's in business or it's, in cycling. I don't watch some video about, watts or about FTP or something. I watch something about a better diet or something, more fundamental. So, what I would say about that is to improve, watch people that are closer to what it is that you're doing. And there's so much mediocrity out there that it's really, the bicycle is really the ultimate expression of freedom at the end of the day. And, I've hung out, with some controversial people, and it's people that have caused problems, and I have as well. But I'll take that any day over the person that is mediocre, the person that plays by the rules all the time. So person that comes to mind actually, and I've gotten questions about him, is Adrian. This is a guy who I've had to bail out of jail. I've had to get him out of trouble. I've almost shit that he's done has almost gotten me arrested. He's caused friends problems, and in addition to the risks I take, he's probably one of the reasons I don't get as many sponsors as I do.
Chapeau. Great
but
interview,
maybe that's mostly on
guys.
me.
Rock
you
on
know.
gesture.
Sponsors I get are very loyal. But what would you give for somebody who is 100% reliable and honest with you, and who has your back in Iraq, who is there when there's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars damage to your condo if you don't save it from getting breached during Hurricane Irma, who, if you tell to be there August 25th at 3 p.m. in Key Biscayne, is going to be there, what would you give to have somebody like that? And those are the types of people that I like to hang out with. That's the criteria, integrity, and then reliability, and action. So I say in my bio, if it wasn't on film, it didn't happen. But then I also say most people are all talk and no action. I mean, this is something that I do search for, are people who are that reliable, and are, will take those risks. I mean, Adrian's a guy that is the first, to follow me, no matter what the fucking situation. I mean, I'll be countless times, I'll be sneaking through some access gate, riding somewhere, where you shouldn't really risky, and son of a bitch, I see the shadow, a silhouette of those wide handlebars behind me. Yes.
The shark is behind you.
Yeah, the shark right there. The shark is hungry. And at the end of the day, I'd rather have people that are going to take the risk. I'd rather have people that are going to do that, are going to hold to their word, than people that are fake, people that I have been there for, and, at 2:00 in the morning, whatever, and, we want to go for a ride, and they fucking stand me up, know who you are. There are other people like that, that I can count on, for pretty much anything. So, and I usually know, with the amount of people that I've met in a split second, who those people are, and actually, most of the people on Team Rush, fit that caliber, which is what, attracted me to, being on a team, not just any team. There's a lot of teams I could be on. A lot of teams I cannot, obviously, with some of the things I do. But, at the end of the day, I'd rather have somebody who is of that integrity and of that reliability, and is going to take those risks, than somebody that's fake or that's mediocre, or is trying to be somebody that they're not.
Yeah.
And, the world has enough of that already. And so, it takes one to know one. I met you, you're that way. And so I guess that's the note that I'd like to end this video on.
Solid. Dude, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experiences, your knowledge, sharing with everyone who's watching right now. Thank you to everybody who's been here listening to us kind of chat, ramble on, stumble through this live stream a little bit. That's my fault on the technical sides. And just hang out with us today. Hopefully you guys were entertained. And Lucas, as soon as the world normalizes, we've talked about a few things. The ride to the Keys was the last time we talked about doing something before everything kind of went up in up in smoke. But we gotta make that happen soon.
Okay.
As soon as it's all good. If not, there's a few people in the chat who keep saying, "Come to New York." Come to New York, Lucas.
I will, I promise.
Yeah, I'm sure Lucas will be back in New York soon. So thank you again, Lucas. And looking forward to seeing what videos you put out and produce soon. Thank you again for being on the morning routine.
Thank you for having me.
Sweet. Enjoy your day, and you're going to go for a ride?
Yeah. Ride fast, die last.
Word. All right, man. Have a good afternoon, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Peace out.
Later. All right. That was Lucas Brunelle. Thank you guys for joining us today on this ride. And this ride felt like a bike ride, didn't it? Just a chatty bike ride. Thanks for hanging out, asking questions, and being around. This was an exceptionally... we almost went 3 hours today, so that was pretty cool. Appreciate everyone hanging out. I'm going to end the stream here shortly, but I'm going to drop a few things in the chat. I'm going to be coming over here. There's the link a million times. I'm going over to Twitch to pick up another stream. I'm going to finish some work at the desk here, and we can chat about the conversation that just happened or anything else you guys want to talk about if I missed. So come on over to chat, or to chat. Come on over to Twitch, and we can kick it for a while. Thank you guys again, and be safe, and get to riding your bikes, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace. That's twitch.tv, Terry Berenson. Thank you for all the donators. Thank you to all the channel members for being there, and the new channel members who just joined today. Appreciate that. We got Sean Wolf, who owns King Cog in Brooklyn. He also owns Sun and Air in Brooklyn. We will have a morning routine with him on Thursday, so check back for that. And come holler at me on Twitch if you want to keep chatting.